I'm Adam Burtonshaw, Head of Technical Services here at Westomatic.
And I'm Steve Naylor, Technical Manager for the North of England.
Today we're going to talk about recommissioning your machines after they've been shut down over the COVID period. So the first thing we're going to do is come to the machine. Obviously yours will be turned off for demonstration purposes. We've left ours running. So we're going to come up, take off our time. So the first thing we recommend you do, is if the machine has been sat for any long length of time, is change your inlet hose. So what you're going to want to do is disconnect the inlet hose and fit a new one. But before you connect it to the machine, flush that out into a bucket. Probably going to want about 10 litres. Make sure you get any back lag that's in the pipes out, so we're running purely with fresh water, and then reconnect that hose. First thing we're going to do after we've done that, obviously your power will be off, is drain the boiler. So if you open up the pipe clamp, this will allow to fully drain the boiler. So once you've done that, we're going to close off the pipe clamp. It'll just situate in the bottom right hand side. So we use Brita filters, which is what we recommend. Simply unclick and remove, replace the new filter and lock it back into place.
We're going to remove the canisters and gain access to the back plate. Adam's now going to remove the back plate, giving us access to the boiler.
Once we've drained the boiler fully, before we switch back on, we want to be changing these port seals here. So you can change these simply by removing the valve, pulling out the port seal and replacing them, remembering to put the blanks where they should be. While you're doing this, also check your valve for any scale issues. Obviously if you've got scale issues and build up in there, you'll see it inside here. Change them if needed, if not, you're okay to use them again. So you can put them back in, obviously then go through power up, fill up and wait for it to reheat. You can now power on the machine. So once you power on the machine, the tank will start to fill. There's a 3-minute timeout on the tank. So as long as you've got good pressure, that should be perfectly fine. Once we've got it and you hear the valve stop, you'll see a green light come on the back here. We then recommend you power off and do the same cycle again. So what we're going to do here is try to put some fresh water through the tank to flush it back out again. So open the valve back up again with the power off, with the power, and then let that drain. So once that's drained, close it off, then we can power up and let the tank fill. We'll look out for our green LED light to come on to heat the boiler. That's going to take about 5 minutes to heat up. Once that's done, we can move on to the next stage. So once we've refilled that, waited for the boiler to go, we can then recommission and decommission the brewer.
So we're going to decommission and recommission the brewer purely and simply to get rid of any stale water that's been sat in the brewer for the period of time that the machine's been off, not working. So if we go into our machine settings, I'll talk you through this because you might not be able to see the screen as clearly as you should do. We need to go into brewer settings. And when it catches up, we go into high pressure brewer. And on the front we have decommission brewer. So we're going to press decommission brewer. Please ensure that you've got your bucket in place because you do get some amount of water that comes out. Decommission brewer, this takes about 2 minutes. Confirm. And away we go. We get a space bar going across so it just tells you the progress. So while you're waiting for this to happen, another thing that you might need to check, bearing in mind the cups have been sat in there for a certain period of time and they do compress and stick together. So while you're doing that, you can take the cup sleeves out and just fan all the cups nice and gently, making note of any that are stuck together, and if they are, remove them and dispose of them. Put the cups back in, never overfill them, put them back in nice and gently, and away you go. I don't think you can actually see that inside the machine, but we're now pumping water through. What it does is gets rid of any stale water in there, and if you're doing this on a live machine, then it would depressurise and take the hot water out of there. So we're on 50%, so we're nearly halfway there.
Yep. Once this is done, it's going to ask us to open the drain valve. So we've got one to show you, because you won't be able to see inside the machine.
We'll show you the location of where it is, but there's a drain valve that has to be opened with a flat bladed screwdriver, and it opens and closes, and that just empties the last bit of water out of the boiler. But we'll do that in a minute. One top tip that I do have for you is when you're going to do that, you either have to hold a bucket underneath or get yourself a piece of pipe. A piece of pipe like this, invaluable. We'll demonstrate why in a minute. Yeah, you'll hear the pump stop, the brewer will recycle itself, and then it'll confirm. There we go, so we confirm that. Do you wish to drain the boiler? We'll confirm, and we'll do that on this stage. Open the drain valve and press yes. So Adam's going to remove the bucket.
This is where your pipe comes in handy.
The drain valve is located underneath the boiler, underneath the high pressure brewer. So he's now going to open the valve. We go to the front of the machine, press confirm, and it now opens and just drains the last of the water. Again, it will prompt you on the screen when it's finished, and it says spacebar going across again, draining in progress.
This will ensure all the water is removed from your brewer, refilling it with fresh water.
Close the drain valve, so Adam's going to close that one up now.
Your pipe. Replace your bin.
Back around the front, confirm. There we go. So our machine now is asking us to recommission the brewer.
Okay, so if we go through
So
the
we're going to go
recommissioning.
through the recommissioning. Yes, confirm. You can hear the brewer cycling, and now the boiler and the pump and everything will run inside the brewer and refill it with water. Again, you get a space bar going across, and this takes about 2 minutes. Another thing we will have a look at shortly, we told you about fanning the cups, putting the cups back in place, making sure we've got non-compacted. We also need to double check the carousel timeout. Once this is recommissioned, we'll go through that and show you.
60%. Start to see water flowing through now. This is where it's filled the boiler up. It's just starting to run off any excess in this process.
There we go.
There we go. So the next thing we recommend you do is contact parts. So we recommend you take these parts off and discard them and change them. We can change these with a hygiene kit. This is changing all the contact parts. So we get pipe, bowl, steam hood, whipper bases, ingredient nozzles, and the actual nozzles.
And impels.
What's that, sorry? Oh, and impellers. And the actual ingredient nozzles where a lot of the bacteria will be. So we recommend you change all these. Simply click the whipper base around, removing the whipper bowl, and then take this out, remembering what location it is. Now there is a diagram on the inside of the machine here showing you what location each one will go into. So remove that, remove the whipper base, take that. Remove that. What we want to be doing here is checking movement of that whipper motor. So it should move freely by hand. If it's seized at all, you'll feel a lot of resistance as you turn it. Now if you feel that, you want to be changing it. But check each one flows and moves quite freely before you put on the new parts. To refit them, simply click them into place, half turn. When you put on the new impeller, you want to check there's an arrow mark and a flat that sits on top of the shaft. You need to align them. That'll just simply click on. Pushing on your new rubber ball, clicking the base around so it holds in place, and then replacing with the new nozzle and end into the location it should be. So next thing we want to do, once we've changed all these, we're going to go through a flush. This is going to do two things. We're going to flush these pipes out at the back. They wouldn't have been sat with any water in, but we're going to need to clean them out. We're also going to check that when we've refitted all these, all the seals are sitted properly and we haven't got any leaks. So we're going to come here, top left hand, hot flush. Oh, what are we in on the program? There it goes.
When you do a flush, it does all the mixing bowls in sequence, followed by 2 flushes of the tea brewer and 2 flushes of the high pressure brewer.
This will also check all the width of the moving doors. We just checked the 3 by hand. This will check all them as well to make sure they run in. So the next thing we're going to do is go through a brewer clean. Before we do that, we recommend you lubricate the brewer. You can grab the brewer. So inside the brewer, it's a shaft that runs on the inside, and you can see that.
Silver shaft that runs down the middle.
So a food grade lubricant.
Food grade lubricant, available from Westomatic. Quick spray onto the shaft. That's all it needs. That should be done once a month probably.
Yeah.
During part of your regular maintenance.
Yeah. So
Can be done in situation.
yeah, if you remove this, you can do it while it's in.
Followed by a clean of the brewer using the Westomatic cleaning tablets.
So we'll just talk through where that is.
So again, if we go to door open and we go into operator functions, brewer settings,
So you need to make sure we're using the Westomatic tablets to do this, because
Brewer
we have had issues with people using other tablets.
and then we have a prompt on the screen for clean brewer. So if we go through the clean brewer process, are you sure you want to start the cycle? Yes. But before I do that, I'm going to put a cleaning tablet in. Or should I say Adam will put a cleaning tablet in.
So this cleaning tablet just drop into the bowl at the top.
Confirm. Cleaning tablet into the chamber, we've done that. Confirm, and away we go. And again, you have the space bar that comes across and tells you the machine's progress.
So not only will this clean your brewer, it will also break down any oils you've had sitting within the filters, and again prolong the life of the brewer. So we recommend this clean is done weekly. I'm sure most people do, but that's what we recommend it.
One thing we can do while this is happening, we can clean our screen.
Yes. So when we clean the screen, we need to use screen cleaner. We can't just use any bacteria.
Screen cleaner
spray.
available from Westomatic.
It is indeed.
What I'm going to do, what most people make the mistake of doing, is spraying onto the screen. And if we do that, then the liquid has a likelihood to go down beyond the seal and cause sensitivity issues. So we always say, spray onto the cloth and then wipe the screen, taking care to go into each corner. When we've done that, turn your screen over, give it a wipe dry side, and if you do that once a week, then that'll probably reduce any sensitivity issues.
So once this is done, we're going to recommend we move on to the next stage of grinder calibration. So we'll talk through that once this is finished. What that's going to do is make sure your throw rate is right and you get a good quality coffee at the end of it.
What we'll also do, of course, is remove any beans that have been sat in the top of the grinder since the machine's been closed down.
Because although you're changing them in the canister, you will get some sat in the top here. This process will clean that out, giving you fresh beans. So when you do your grinder calibration, we're going to go through. You'll just need some scales to weigh the product. There's a few options available, but a general scale to work.
General digital scales.
You'll need that and a little cup. What we've done is just cut the cup in half to catch the product in, but that's what you'll need for the next stage. There we go. Save and exit.
So I'm going to go back into service mode and just refresh something that we spoke about earlier, and that's checking the cup carousel time.
So that's 1969 to get in.
Into machine settings, where it catches up with general settings. Into cup and jug settings. Carousel timeout is the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth one down, carousel timeout. And you've also got peeler timeout. Carousel timeout, we used to set at 60 seconds. We've now revised that to 30 seconds. Basically that means the carousel will turn for 30 seconds to hunt for some more cups. But if there's no cups in the machine, or you've got a jam, it has 30 seconds to rotate, which it will do 1.5 revolutions. So there was no point in setting it at 60, because it would just go on and on and on and on and on. So make sure that that's always set at 30 seconds now. We're going to go calibrate the grind now. So we're going to go into brewer settings. Then I'm going to go to brewer 2 settings. Being opposite.
I put it over there with you. Okay.
Put it in and open.
Put it in. Slide in the locking plate out. Open in the canister.
So on the front of the machine now we have a few boxes. One of them says perform 10-second grind test. Basically that runs the grinder for 10 seconds and then you put a setting in there of how many gram throws come out, and it does a calculation to convert to the amount of coffee that comes out in each drink. So I'm going to get my little cup that we had earlier and I'm going to place that under the spout on the grinder. I'm going to go around the front and press perform grind test, and it then gives me 3 seconds before the grinder starts running. So we then have a cup with 10 seconds worth of grind in there. I would perform that 3 times normally and then get the third one and weigh it. This gives you a good opportunity while you're there to check the grind consistency. So, proper way to do it is to put it between your finger and your thumb and rub it. And I always say, if it feels like talcum powder, it's too fine. If it feels like tobacco, it's too coarse. It should feel like small grains of sand in your hand. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to weigh this.
You just popped it on the scales.
Out of shot. Now that's weighing 16.03 grams. So on the front of the machine,
again, this would be with the third one we threw out.
third one, we have a grind rate setting on there. So that was 16.03 grams. So I'm going to change that grind rate to go back. 603. Then I'm going to save it. So it's now storing the settings.
Yep. This will make sure we're throwing out the right amount of coffee for every drink. Not only will give us a better quality drink, but it'll make sure we don't throw excess amount, wasting any coffee.
It does a calculation to the machine, basically to say, if I can throw 16 grams in 10 seconds and you want 8 grams in a drink, I'll run it for the equivalent amount of seconds to get that.
Yeah. Get some general antibacterial spray, whatever you use, obviously something that's non-bleach, and give the machine a full wipe over then. We've obviously changed all the contact parts, but we just generally want to clean the machine all over. We then put the machine back together, come to the front of the machine and do some test drinks. I would suggest you test every drink, make sure your levels are okay, make sure your strengths are okay, and everything's set up as it should be.
Then your machine should be back in commission, ready to serve high quality drinks as usual.
Yeah, so thank you very much for joining us. If you've got any questions, please feel free to ask or email them in to us and we'll be happy to answer them.
I've been Steve Naylor, he's been Adam Burtonshaw.
Thank you.
Thank you.